Hi, everybody. Let me see. Give me a one if you can hear me. Give me a one if you can hear me. Breezy said this is going to be a great show. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I am going to give you a lot of insight as well as food for thought. Okay. Hello, hello. I'm back. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me this beautiful afternoon. Now, listen, we have such a great, amazing show tonight or today, wherever part of the world that you're listening from. It could be morning, okay? You are going to be blown away. We are talking about witches in the classroom, witches, occult workers, warlocks in the classroom, around your children, around our children. What does that mean for believers? How do we combat this? So, first and foremost, I am your host, Dr. Yaya Marie, and I am also the author of When Satan Plays Matchmaker, Exploring the Spiritual Side of Narcissism. Thank you so much for all of the love and everything that you guys have been putting into this book. I am constantly getting feedback saying, oh my gosh, this book has changed the way I see things. It has, changed the way I think and how I handle toxic people. This book is not a manual of my life. This is a manual for life. Okay. So don't forget to get your copy of When Satan Plays Matchmaker, Exploring the Spiritual Side of Narcissism. Now, what we're going to do is hello, hi. We're going to get right into it. Okay. So, overcoming evil in the classroom. What happens when you are dealing with evil in the classroom to the point where, hey, I think that my son or daughter's teacher has an influence that I'm not agreeing with? Or, hey, I think that every time my son or daughter goes into this classroom, they complain of a headache, a stomach ache. There's other instances where they may come home and they're just not like themselves. You send your child to school one way, they come back different. What is going on? Now, am I saying that this is always the case? Definitely not. Of course not. Some people are teachers because they love the profession, right? Some people get into it because, they want to be a positive role model, a great influence to children. They know that children are very impressionable. They know that they have the greatest impact on a life when you're dealing with a child. They remember you forever. How many of you remember your teachers? Anybody? I mean, you can remember teachers from second grade, and sometimes if you can go back to kindergarten and you remember your teacher, right? So some people get into the profession because they genuinely want to make a difference. Now, just in my case, when I was in the classroom, I have been a teacher for many years. I'm not a teacher at this moment, but I have taught grades from kindergarten all the way. The last grade I taught was 12th grade science, 12th grade science. And I had a special education caseload at the same time. So I can say firsthand that I have been a certified special education teacher as well as a certified science teacher. Okay. I've taught environmental science, bio, and physical science, as well as chemistry, middle school and high school. For elementary, I was a teacher in an autism ASD classroom, which was a self-contained special needs classroom. So I can say with confidence that not all teachers are horrible teachers. Not all teachers are, just are in it with an agenda. Okay. There are some great teachers out there. And if you happen to be one, kudos to you. Okay. This is not about, attacking teachers. Of course not. This is not what this show or what this message is about. However, I can also say with confidence that not all teachers are in it for the well-being of the child. Okay? Everybody with me? Is everybody with me? Let's see. Okay, good. Yeah, everybody is not in it for the students' well-being. Despite how, some people or some teachers give this whole rant about, oh, how broke I am. I'm a teacher. I'm so broke and I'm so this. Let me just tell you, at least from my experience, the pay is subjective. If you live in a state where the cost of living is much higher, then no, you cannot live on a teacher's salary. If you live in a state where the cost of living isn't so high, then yes, you can definitely live off of this salary. So every teacher is not a broke down and out teacher. Then you also have to factor these other principles that there is a hierarchy when it comes to the profession. So if you're in it for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, you're getting paid more than someone who's just starting out. Also, if you have degrees such as a master's or a doctorate, you are also getting paid more than a teacher that does not have these things. So some teachers do. You hear this rhetoric about, oh, I'm so broke and this is that, I'm a broke teacher. I that is subjective. Okay, let's leave that there. But despite how they claim to be, some of them claim to be so, down and out, I'm only doing this because I love the kids, that type of rhetoric. There are some teachers who only get into it because they want the summers off. To be honest, you want paid summers, paid holidays. I'm not saying all. This is just how some people think. So not everyone has the child's best interest at mind. Rather, they're trying to maneuver their own life. We understand that, okay? But at the same time, we do want to have in the classroom or incentives in the classroom that, hey, I know that this teacher is on target. They're meeting their goals. They're giving education to the kids that is actually enriching them and learning and expanding their minds. And some of them just pass out worksheets. Okay. So, yes, some teachers do have their own agenda as far as the convenience of teaching, or some teachers just get into it because they want a lot of days off and they want to be paid for a lot of days off. Right. But here's another frame of thinking that we're going to get into. Some teachers are getting into the profession solely to indoctrinate children. I'm going to say that again. Some teachers are getting into the profession of education solely to indoctrinate the children. Is everybody with me? How do I know that? Well, number one, there's a whole sector on TikTok of teachers giving their experiences and talking to their audience on how they're going to impose their beliefs onto your children. Let me explain. For example, this is just one. There is a sector online that is coming into the classroom telling your children that they are pronouns they, zer, and they, them. And they are cross-dressing in front of your children and saying, hey, call me they, zer, or they, them, or whichever pronoun at the time. There is a whole rhetoric going on online on what should a first grader or a kindergartner call a teacher who is cross-dressing, to be frank. What should we call them? It doesn't, we know that everybody's not going to be a believer. We understand that. We have to be in this world, right? But why do you have to expose a kindergartner to your beliefs and what you believe you are? Why do you want to confuse them even more? Is it because you want them to be exposed to your way of living at a young age? Or is it because you now have the freedom to make an impression on a totally different audience, which is kindergartners, first graders? You can make a deep impression on these little kids. Why do you have to bring that to the classroom? Okay, ask yourself what would be the end goal here? So you have some students say, "Hey, are you a man or a woman?" Or, "Hey, what does Zer mean?" I'm not trying to be funny. These are actual pronouns, they and zer. This is serious. Like, I know it sounds like I'm joking. I'm not exaggerating. This is a rhetoric. This is a conversation being had online on what do these teachers, when you're coming in the classroom and you are of that community and you're coming into the first grade classroom, I want these little kids to call me Zer, and I'm going to have to explain to them why. Do you guys think that's appropriate for kindergartners? Or do you think that is some type of agenda being had? Somehow they want to push this ideology on young minds. Give me some feedback. This is a whole sector doing that. Now, let me give you another example. Example 2 on how these teachers are getting children to be indoctrinated in the world. All right. Example 2. There's another sector online with teachers who are teaching little kids. What do we learn by singing and rhyming, right? That's how we learn our ABCs and just basics. So there's a video that the little kids are singing like ABCs or something like that to a Sexy Red song. And for those of you who don't know who Sexy Red is, this is a woman who has the lip gloss line that has names such as vaginal discharge and period blood. That's the lip gloss line. So what the teacher did was she took the lyrics out, she only put the instrumental, and then she had the kids singing kitty, ABCs and things like that over the instrumental of Sexy Red. Let me tell you how that's still toxic, even though these little kids are not saying the words at this moment. It doesn't matter if you're taking her lyrics out and putting ABCs over them. The frequency of the songs are already there. Okay. So once you're in their studio or recording any type of music, right? Our media and our mainstream music that we listen to today has hidden frequencies that we are not trained. Even as adults, we are not trained to hear them. Okay, everybody with me? So if we as an adult are not trained to hear these frequencies, how do you think that will affect the kid? It doesn't matter if they are singing the alphabet over the Sexy Red beats, over the what was another one, Cardi B's beats. It's not appropriate for school, because it's not just about the lyrics of the song, it's about the frequency. Okay, that's a problem as well. So we as adults have the power to say, okay, well, let me research this, let me research that. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Kids are impressionable and they're waiting for us to give them the green light, so to speak. So what you're doing there with that type of example where, I see these little kids and they're singing over the Sexy Red and the Cardi B songs. What you have here now is you're having kids being indoctrinated to listen to this type of frequency in the music, to accept it. And it's only a matter of time where these subliminals start coming out in their behavior. And yes, it is that deep. So It's just it's just wrong. There's a time and a place for everything. You don't take Cardi B songs, strip the lyrics out, and then put ABCs over it. They can learn without a Cardi B beat. Okay? They can learn, little children can learn without all of the other antics and the worldly message that we're sending them. You're getting these children accustomed to liking that type of music, number one. And it's only a matter of time where they're okay with accepting what is going on in that type of music. There's studies, and even on there's studies about the frequency of music. If you research it, there's been music where there's a lot of bass, there's a lot of I forgot the hertz of it, but some of these have been had an adverse effect on dogs, dolphins, and even water. They even changed the water molecules with frequencies and beats. So, what do you think it's going to do to a young mind of a child? This is what I'm talking about when I say some teachers are imposing their beliefs on your children. And the younger the child, the more impressionable to subliminal. Okay? Everybody with me? Everybody with me? Okay, Breezy said this is going to be a great show. Yes, thank you so much. So I want to talk about, like I started earlier. Everybody knows that I come from a teaching background. I've taught ASD classroom, self-contained, kindergarten, all the way up to 12th grade environmental science, biochemistry, as well as physical science. Okay. So I have been in the classroom for years. I'm no longer a teacher now, but I have extensive experience in education. My law degree was in or is in education law. Okay. One of my doctorates is in special education. I'm going to tell you right now what I witnessed firsthand. All right. I was in a kindergarten, first grade classroom. We had them combined because there were special education students there. I was the SPED teacher in the classroom, and then we had a general ed teacher in the classroom. This may sound familiar because if your child has an IEP, you know that some classes, they are combined, right? Let's see. Kimberly says, I listened to that book when Saying Plays Matchmaker on Audible. It is a must read and 100% accurate of a narcissistic relationship. Thank you. Helped me so much. Just wanted to say thank you. Enjoying this live. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Listen, I'm not just saying that. The book, When Satan Plays Matchmaker. And for those of you who are new here, I'm the author. Kevin Ewing. Do you know how big Kevin Ewing is? He recommended the book. I did not even know he was going to do that. Dave from Narcology recommended the book. I had no clue he was doing that. So this is not even me. This is how you know the power of God. This is not even me saying, hey, can you promote this? No. All of this is happening because people need to hear. People need to hear the truth. When you're dealing with, and we're going to get to the narcissists in the classroom as well. I'm going through the list on how I've witnessed firsthand these teachers are being, they're indoctrinating your students, your children. Even if you don't have children, you should be deeply concerned. Okay. But just a side note here, familiar spirits are setting up relationships. That is what I came out 2 years ago on YouTube saying that. Okay. Familiar spirits are setting up, and this book tells you how. When Same Place Matchmaker. Okay, back to what I actually saw in the classroom and how they're pushing different agendas. So I was the second teacher in the classroom because there was one special ed and one general ed teacher there, right? This type of classroom consisted of different cultures, different religions. Majority of my students at that time, I remember I had one Ethiopian student and a lot of students from Vietnam and Japan. And that it was really like diverse in that classroom. So a lot of the students didn't come from a home where Christmas is celebrated. Okay. So everybody follow me now. The other teacher She was a she was very big on holidays, even though she knew. Listen here, this is not up for any type of. I'm not going to debate your beliefs or your holidays or anything like that. This is not the show for that, and I don't debate anyway. Okay, so if you celebrate Christmas, that's on you. That's fine for you. You do you. Some people don't. Now, what this teacher was doing was she was imposing her beliefs on students who did not celebrate those holidays, who didn't know any concept of it, or just who chose to not celebrate it because that's how their household did it. So what she would do is that she would send the students to watch a movie, and it would be a Christmas movie, knowing the students didn't celebrate it. And she would say, hey, if you don't celebrate Christmas, you're a Scrooge. If you don't celebrate Christmas, you're a Grinch. She would show, mind you, as I said before, this is a kindergarten through first, gen ed, and special education classroom. Okay. We were combined. There were two teachers in there. She would show movies just indoctrinating Christmas, 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 to the point where it got uncomfortable because these students come from families who don't celebrate that. What this teacher also did was we had a kid who was from Korea, spoke very little English, but he was also special needs. Okay. So he knew his name. I'm not going to say his name. It was a Korean name. I remember it to this day, though, because I learned how to say his name. She would still call him by a nickname she gave him. It got so bad to the point where the kid, he's special needs, by the way, he would go home and his mother would call him by his actual name, and he wouldn't even pay her any attention. You have to understand that these students are with these teachers 8 hours a day. We get them more than they are at home. By the time they come home, it's dinner time. You do a little, clean up or play outside. You go to sleep, and you're in the classroom another 8 hours with a stranger. Okay. So he had 8 hours of indoctrination of calling him a different name that she chose. Then he gets home and he doesn't answer to his actual real name. It got so bad to the point where the parent had to come to the school and say, hey, can you stop calling my kid that? Because number one, that's not his name. And number two, now he's not coming or listening when I do call him the name that I gave him at birth. So I've seen firsthand how if you have a child that has a different belief, some teachers do impose what they perceive as what should be right. If your child doesn't celebrate Christmas, as a teacher, I have to respect that. Some of them don't. If your child doesn't watch certain movies, as a teacher, I have to respect that. Some of them don't. Now, I have also seen where they are hanging rainbow flags in the classroom, which is not appropriate. It's not. What does that have to do with learning? What does it have to do with it? This is what I mean by the indoctrination. Is everybody with me here? So we do have some teachers that, hey, we love the children. We love to see a mind transform into something wonderful, and we're teaching them, and we're in it because we love the children. But some of them have a different agenda where they're in the profession to indoctrinate and impose their belief system, their way of life onto a totally new generation, because they know that what a child learns in kindergarten and first grade is not so much about the ABCs. It's about the culture, the dynamic in the classroom, the ways of the classroom, the people you meet. Adults know that, children do not. And it's not fair to have a child who doesn't celebrate a certain holiday be indoctrinated to the point where they say, oh, well, if you don't celebrate Christmas, you're a Scrooge or you're a Grinch. And I remember when she was doing that, and I'm like, oh, wait, no. And, and of course, a friendly voice. We're working with first and kindergarten here at that time. and I had to come and cross correct. It got to the point where, we had to get multiple people involved, and it escalated because she was imposing her beliefs on children, calling them a Scrooge and Grinch, and making it seem as if they are wrong for not celebrating, or if they do celebrate a certain holiday. Now, with that being said, let me just give you another personal experience that happened when now that we are on this subject. With my own children, just with my own ethnic background, we didn't celebrate certain holidays. It was like I grew up to think that okay, well, we just don't do it. Okay. Not going to get into it now because I don't debate. If you celebrate Christmas, that's on you. If somebody doesn't, that's on you too. I'm not here to change your mind about that. And plus, the Bible tells us don't get caught up in vain, arguments about the law, or which Sabbath day. I'm not going to get caught up in that because it does not. Or if you don't eat meat, some people eat meat, maybe you shouldn't eat pork, don't eat pork. I'm not going to get into it. This is not the channel for that, because it is a battle it yields no fruit. Okay, we're here because we want to learn the living word of God, and I'm not going to get caught up in the law. Okay, or you get what I mean. So if you feel convicted after hearing about Christmas, you don't do it. If you don't feel convicted, okay, that's on you. Nevertheless, we don't celebrate Christmas in our household. We didn't do it. We celebrate Hanukkah. And even still we do, right? Let me tell you guys, everybody ready for this? Okay, let me tell you what happened. My daughter went to school, and she basically was being a little witness to her little classmates and her teacher. So she tells her teacher, oh, we don't really celebrate Christmas, and we celebrate, Festival of Lights and Hanukkah. She gives a complete Bible breakdown in her third grade class, right? Apparently, in the school that we're at, there's not a lot of people like that have this type of belief system. So the teacher asked my daughter, can you come up to the classroom and, bring something from home, and I want you to teach us what you do. What do you celebrate? How do you do this? How do you celebrate? What does your family do? Do you know her little self went up to the classroom the next day, got all of her, her gear and everything, and she taught about, the biblical aspect. And this is in public school, by the way. And it was a learning experience, not only for the teachers, but for the other students as well, because I teach the children, it's okay to be different. It's okay to be different. You don't have to do what the world is doing. Everybody understand that? You don't have, what we have to let these children know is it's all right to be different. You're called to be different. Be a light into darkness. You don't have to do everything that all of these people, the worldly people, are doing. We don't have to put ABCs over a Sexy Red beat. We don't have to put 1, 2, 3s over a Cardi B beat for it to be effective. That's not how this works. We are called to be called out and separate from the world, right? What does that really mean? It means that you do have to be a part of, our daily lives. We can't help that we have to go to the grocery store. We got to go to school. Some of us are not in a position to homeschool or take the children out of the school. So what do? We're depending on the public school system. Then you don't know what you're going to get. How can we protect and know with a surety that when we send our children out into the world, that they are going to be shielded from this darkness that we are living in? Because right now we live in Satan's world. This is his earth. Okay, we're not in our home, we're just passing through. So when we're trying to be a light to this world, it's like we do have to interact with people. Here's the kicker: You have to understand that some teachers are narcissists, some teachers are occult workers. Some teachers who are narcissists will pit two kids, against each other. Some people who are some teachers who are narcissists will gaslight children. You come home or they come home and you're like, what's going on? And it's because of the teachers are nitpicking. I've seen this too. I don't understand why. Just a side note, when you work with little kids, this is why I stopped teaching elementary. It's too much for, I don't know how these kindergarten teachers do it, but you don't want to get a teacher that's easily sucked in to little kindergarten drama. It's like the Real Housewives of kindergarten. I mean, what is all this drama coming from? And the teacher's right in the mix of it. Why? What types of people are actually in the drama or like the drama? It doesn't matter where they're getting this fuel from. Narcissists. Everybody with me? Everybody with me? You see what I mean by some teachers are narcissists, some are straight up occult workers, where we're having what are the crystals in the classroom, or little rituals in the classroom that I remember one time my daughter came home and said, hey, my teacher said to rub this on and do some type of spin or walk through the door a certain way. And I recognized it, and that's where this message came from. And I'm like, whoa, what if there are occult workers in this classroom? We talk about it in the medical field a lot. We talk about how, wait, don't go to, certain doctors. They will tell you that, hey, your baby didn't make it, but they actually sacrificed the baby. We talk about this in the medical field, but where are we talking about this in the classroom? If you have a teacher that is a narc and they are actually provoking your child, okay? So there's a lot that comes with this message, because not only do you have teachers that are in it because they want the summers off paid, but you have some teachers that are pushing their agenda. That's number two. We talked about that. Then you have the teachers who are narcissists, where your child come home feeling like crap, their self-esteem is crushed, and you're like, where does this come from? It's because they've been dealing with this leech all day, this energy vampire all day, that calls themselves a teacher. Not all, of course, not all, but this is very common. Very common. Breezy says, wow. Lauren says, I want to celebrate Hanukkah instead of Christmas. If I can only get my husband on board, I be trying. Please pray for my family. Oh, that's good. But you know what? Maybe just do both. There's nothing. Just say, hey, let's implement 1 year the menorah. What's the harm in that? Okay. Or there's ways to kind of persuade. Well, you married to him, so you persuade him, right? All right. Let's see. Breezy says we are just pressing through. Let's see. And she also says it's as if these teachers are trying to Yes. And Kimberly says, at Breezy, that's because they are. Even with the example about Lauren is laughing, said, thank you. I was like, there's ways to persuade, like, hey, maybe we should just get a menorah and let's, light, or just look up the dates for Hanukkah this year. And I got on here the past 2 years that, a lot of us don't have much family. Okay. And we always hear and we're all spread out. And, we started this tradition. Okay, let's make some vanilla cupcakes around this holiday season, because some of us don't have, family, kids, husband, and aunts, and all of that. Okay. Now, all right. So let's get back on track here. So we talked about the narcissism in the classroom, the favoritism in the classroom. When you're seeing your child like this, and I'm only telling you this because I've seen it firsthand. I was a teacher for a long time. I've seen the type of bullying that goes on, not only between teachers, but the favoritism in the classroom with different students. I've seen it. Okay. So if you have a student that, or your child that you feel is being somewhat nitpicked in the classroom, now please don't take this the wrong way, because every child is not being nitpicked. Some of them children just bad. You heard me? Some of them just bad. Some of them just defiant. ODD, ADHD, EBD. If you don't know that that stands for, that's oppositional defiant disorder, attention deficit disorder. This is all my background. My doctorate is in special education. The last grade I taught was 12th grade with an EBD caseload. It's a science class. EBD means emotional behavioral disorder. These are the students that need help regulating their behaviors. In fact, if you've been with me for a really long time on this channel and on TikTok, I started out with the teaching videos about how to work with these children. So many people started asking me about the narcissism. It just took over. I'll be honest. I felt like the narcissism, I could help more people, and it's more effective. Okay. But when we're talking about the children, you get a narc teacher that's pitting different ones against each other for the thrill of it. This is what you do. You take impeccable records, okay? You take records to the point where, and you have to have a child that can understand. So don't have the child going to school like, oh, my mama taking all these records. My mama said that. Let's tone it down, all right? Take your concern not only to the teacher, you go above it, because they hate when you go above them. You take your concern to the principal. If that doesn't work, you take your concern to the superintendent of that school. You look up who that is. Look up who is the superintendent over the school. If you feel like you're not comfortable, or if you feel like your child is not thriving in a certain classroom, because they know some teachers clash with students. I remember when I was at Damon, when I used to go my undergrad, and I remember my teacher was saying, let me just tell you the truth. You're not going to like every single student. And I thought that was so weird. Like, how do you not like a kid? Like, what would you have against a kid? But now that I was in the profession, I've seen like some kids and some teachers just don't gel well. You may have one that is better with another teacher. Get them moved. This is not set in stone. Even when you have an IEP, it's a fluid document. It's not set in stone. Okay. So you have to voice your concerns. Now, when you have a teacher who's an outright occult worker, outright witch, crystals in the classroom, spells in the classroom. What's another? Somebody give me some other things that they do in the classroom. There's a lot of things that these wicked people do in this classroom besides the indoctrination. I'm talking about full out spell work inside of class. Okay. If you are going through that, this is how we're going to shut it down. Everybody ready for this? One verse will shut this all down. The seed, Proverbs 11:21, the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. The seed of the righteous shall be delivered. I just had to take a sip because I want to, and Kimberly says the Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah, I still don't understand why did it even do what is up with that. But nevertheless, how are we going to shut this down? You have a witch or a warlock in your child's classroom. What are we going to do? The child's coming home acting different and telling you, hey, like how my daughter was like, hey, the teacher said we have to walk this way or put something under our pillow. Just straight up occultic. What do you do then? The seed of the righteous shall be delivered. Let's think about what that means, because this is the most important part of this life. What does it mean to be righteous? It means we are striving for a life that pleases God. That means we are striving to be like Jesus. If we fall, when we fall, because we will, a just man falls how many times? Somebody in the chat, come on, let's get some feedback. Okay, so I had to put myself on mute. I want to hear me gulping down this water. So when we do fall, we repent. We're striving, we're climbing to righteousness, right? It's those who are living in a way that you are walking with God in his ways. You're a reflection of his character. Everybody hear that? When we pursue righteousness, when we are trying, we are aligning ourselves to God's plan. Now, don't get thrown off course. If you mess up, you repent. Okay? Repent and sin no more. That means don't do it again. If you mess up, repent. All right? The seed of the righteous shall be delivered. Who is the seed of the righteous? That's your children. Your children who are sitting right here, right there in that witches or that warlocks class with all the crystals and the salt lamps and the salt by the door, all of that they have going on in the classroom. The seed of the righteous is walking through that door. The seed of the righteous is sitting in the seat. The seed of the righteous is your child. So just with that verse, the seed of the righteous shall be what? Delivered. That means they will be rescued. So when I do right, when I live right, my children are delivered. When I live right, my children are rescued. When I live right, my seed is delivered. From what? From unrighteousness, from wickedness, from the ways of this world, from the indoctrination. That is what they are being delivered from. This is powerful. Shall be delivered. That means they're being rescued, protected, and it means salvation. This means God is actively involved in the lives of the righteous and their children. Everybody with me? Breezy says amen. So you don't worry about, oh, they taking my baby picture, or I don't know what this teacher got going on. She's telling them to do, salt and all of that. I don't know why this teacher is doing it. The seed of the righteous shall be delivered. When I'm living my life in the will of God and I'm striving to be like him, I'm walking in his ways. The Bible says the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. So we know that all of us, we all can't pull our children out. All of us don't have the means to do that, any of that. So, you're worried about your child in classroom. You're worried about, oh my gosh, I hope these children are okay. You just hope they're all right. Especially with the public school, what they got going on. Listen here, you got rainbow flags everywhere. You got people calling, whole classes about, telling your child that, hey, you actually are not male or female. Let me tell you what you really are. You're a Zazer. You got all of this indoctrination. Then they go to school. They got to call their kindergarten teacher, Miss Zer Williams or whatever. All of this indoctrination going on, and you're worried about your child. The seed of the righteous shall be delivered. Okay? Now, Kimberly says that I am currently having trouble enrolling my child for school, and I've been battling whether to homeschool or not. This is perfect timing. That is awesome. And that's what I'm saying. Some of us, we can't homeschool. Some of us don't have, the means to. Some of us don't have the mental wherewithal to deal with, the homeschooling during the day. Some of us have multiple children or a foster home. Everybody can't pull out their children, but guess what? Even when you do pull out your children, the indoctrination is still there. You see everything on the TV, hear it on the radio. We just heard even before, when I first started this live, they're singing ABCs to Cardi B's beats and Sexy Red beats in the classroom and online. It's everywhere. Okay. So that's the good thing, or the reassurance in this verse, Proverbs 11:21. The seed of the righteous shall be delivered. When I'm doing right and I am walking with God, my seed is also delivered. They are being rescued from this indoctrination. They are being rescued from this wicked system that we have to live in. Lauren says, thank you for this. I have 2 kids in the public school system and 1 in college. This is so encouraging. I'm telling you. Yeah, I hope that this really was encouraging, because train up a child the way he should go. I gave you my daughter's example earlier. I'll never forget another one of my the little ones. I have a set of twins, and I remember the boy, he went to school with his mini, like a kiddie Bible I got him. He put it in his book bag. Do you know when he got up, he was on the bus going home. He was kiddie witnessing to the bus, to the point where the bus aide had to get off the bus and say, listen, we just heard about Noah in the ark, and we just heard about Jesus on this bus, and they're in public school. The seed of the righteous shall be delivered. You know, if you're worried about your children in the classroom, you tell the father, I'm worried about these teachers. They're indoctrinating my children. Guess what? When you get home, or when the children get home, or you got one in college, they do a lot of indoctrinating in there. Not to say, of course, I'm all for college, but I'm just saying that that's one area, that's a whole separate live, where they're doing a lot of indoctrination at these colleges, especially when it comes to can I say that on, what am I on YouTube? Oh, I just say offing of babies. They do a lot of that agenda, okay? And like LGBTQ plus agenda is a lot in college. They are really pushing that narrative. Same thing with the schools too, but you know, it's much more up there. But you have to understand that train up a child the way that she goes, so that they go. Meaning, you don't just teach them, right? When they grow up and they hear, okay, well, I know the 10 Commandments. Or every time I see, you know, mommy when she's worried, or daddy when he's worried, they pray. They see that. So they grow up. What do? When they're in a situation, they'll remember the 10 Commandments. Or when they're in a situation where they need help, what do? Pray. You see how that goes? It's not just, you know, beating them or sparing, you know, discipline. It's how they're seeing you handle stuff. You everybody understand that? So when it comes to this indoctrination and them pushing this agenda on the children, and some of them have outright witchcraft in the classroom. I was shocked when my daughter came home, and I was like, wait, what? Tell me again what she said. Yeah. And that's what started this message. But I know one thing: cast your cares onto the Lord, okay? Because he cares. He cares about the children. And you got, look at listen, if these teachers, oh my goodness, they don't know what's going to happen to them. Remember in the Bible where Jesus said it would have been better for them to cast like a millstone around their neck. Somebody pull up that verse. Than to get one of these little ones to fall astray. Do you know how heavy that is for you to indoctrinate a child? I feel bad for you. Well, listen, if you stayed to the end, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I hope this has been, I hope this has been this is a big one. This is a big one. Kimberly, I understand and receive that. That's what I'm standing on and believing for my kids. Yes, remember that verse, okay? And if everybody, you could just put in moderate, if you can, Breezy, just put in Proverbs 11:21. Proverbs 11:21. That's what you need to remember when you have these children in the school system. The seed of the righteous shall, that means will, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They will be delivered. That's a guarantee, okay? Listen, I want to say thank you. I want to say, okay, Luke 12, okay. Oh, sorry. Luke 17:2, Kimberly, thank you also. Somebody come and type in the chat Proverbs 11:21. Yes, thank you. Now listen, I'm trying to work out a better schedule because listen, just hit the notification bell button so you can see when I'm online at this point. But I'm trying to work out a set schedule. And let me tell you, this YouTube, it's a real job for somebody where they clock in and listen. If I don't have nothing to say, I'm not going to get up on here. I'm not going to do it. If I don't have nothing to say, I'm not going to get on here because this is not, a job. I'm here because I love the Lord and I'm doing what he told me to do. Period, point blank. Okay, hit that notifications if you subscribe. And thank you so much. Everybody run out and get a copy. When Satan Plays Matchmaker. This has been recommended by Pastor Kevin Ewing, Dave from Narcology. I had you on notification for a long time. I was happy. Yes. Look, life is like life be lifing. So I get on what I can, But thank you so much. And I'm probably going to do more of like a morning show. I think that would be a better fit for to fit in some other stuff I got going on. Okay. All right, guys. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Share this message. Share this message. Yes. He's. I didn't even know he was going to recommend my book. All the people that recommend it, I have never asked him to. That's how you know the power of God is real. I know it's real. I know it. Alrighty. All right. I will catch you later. Bye.